Haribol!
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everybody. So many new faces. I am also a new face to the new faces. My name is Madhava Hare Krishna. Wonderful to see so many people here. It's a full house. Welcome to Krishna House for those who are new, and thank you for having me today. So today we are starting a new chapter in the third canto, chapter 25, The Glories of Devotional Service. It's a wonderful chapter, it's a wonderful chapter title. And we will be covering, I think, the first 11 verses. Now, I wanted to just to get an understanding of you all. How many of you have read up to this chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Or, no, how many of you, this is new material for you? So quite a few new material. So sometimes, in Krishna House, we bring everybody in. We just put them right into wherever we're at. So many of our temples, it's like you may come into the Srimad Bhagavatam into a particular spot, and this may be your first chances at hearing. And I think every one of us probably remembers, where even after 10, 20, 50, 45, 50 years, we remember that first time we came into Krishna consciousness in those first Bhagavatam classes. I remember it was the Ashvatthama section of Srimad Bhagavatam first canto. That was 1981 or so, and so you always remember it. And so what's wonderful about Krishna consciousness and the way Srila Prabhupada has directed us and taught us how to share Krishna consciousness is to make it very accessible to everyone. So no matter where you're at, where you're coming from, whether you've been here for 20 years or this is your second day here, what will be spoken, we hope, and that is our attempt for the most part, our attempt is to make it very applicable, very applicable to your lives, because all of your lives are quite different. Right now, perhaps in this small segment of time, it seems very similar. We're all getting up at the same time, coming together at the same time, and chanting the same. But this didn't happen, last semester because, again, new faces. So not all of you were here. And next semester, maybe some of you won't be here. Maybe new faces. And so we need to hear about Krishna consciousness in a way that doesn't matter where we're at. It's not that only here. Now, this is our only attempt at hearing. But what we really want to instill in the Krishna House and in the preaching of the Krishna consciousness movement is that at any moment, at any time, at any place, we should be hearing about Krishna. And then not only hearing, but sometimes we very passively hear. We hear sounds, yes, the sounds are going in, but they're not being applied. And so also that is a facet that we like to share in a way that is applicable, applicable to your lives, whatever they may be. So that is my little rambling of introduction, but we're going to just jump right in here. It's quite a story for those. This is the first week of classes.
Yeah.
So you probably just covered one chapter before this so far?
Like half
The renunciation, half a chapter.
Yeah.
Wow.
We just jump right in, yeah.
All right, right in. So it's quite an amazing story and a quite an amazing concept of who Sukadev Goswami, who Maitreya Muni, who are these people bringing up as examples for preaching? Because they're talking to somebody. All the Srimad Bhagavatam is a conversation. It's a conversation. There's so many different layers. There's Sutta Goswami speaking to the sages in Naimisharanya. There's Maharaj Parikshit hearing from Shukadev Goswami. There's Maitreya Muni speaking to Vidura. There's Kapila speaking to his mother. So many different layers, but they're all sharing something very wonderful about Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't find a lot of contradictory things. We hear the prayers. You hear the prayers of the demigods. You hear the prayers of Indra. You hear the prayers of Rajasura. You hear the prayers of so many prayers throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, and almost are all very similar, very pointing to the same thing: the glories of devotional service. So, but in that storytelling and that sharing of examples of lives of persons, of historical persons, we see that they're not all just cookie cutter devotees or cookie cutter persons. Because you could think, okay, I'm going to present the highest truth, the highest devotional service. And so I'm going to tell of a person who, when they walked in the door, they sat down and they just took to Krishna consciousness and they became so happy. And they had lived happily ever after. And the next person I'll tell you about, they came in, they heard about Krishna, they said yes, and they became so happy, and they lived happily ever after. Now, if you keep hearing person after person like this, you may be thinking, boy, is there something wrong with me? Because I'm still struggling with certain things in my life, and I'm not always happy. I'm not always blissed out. Although I think in Krishna House you probably are more than not. But what we hear though instead are great struggles. We hear the very beginning, the struggle of the Pandavas, and we hear the struggle of so many, and even in this, there's some quite contrary things that you would think. So Kardama Muni was this great personality, he was a yogi. And in those days, in this particular yuga that's being, or age, that is being described of Kardama's life, the process of self-realization was yogic meditation. So he was great at it, and he had lots of time. For 10,000 years, he practiced yoga, became perfected, and Krishna appeared for him. Now, if Krishna would appear before you, what would you ask?
For prema.
Prema, yes. What else?
How can I serve you?
How can I serve you? Yes.
Knowledge.
Knowledge, yes. Now, these are all of our, you could say, Facebook answers. Because, boy, in an assembly of devotees, if I were to say, I wanted a wife, or I wanted a husband,
Boo.
what would they think about me? But that's what happened. Kardama Muni, Krishna appeared before him. What do you want? I want a wife who is very similar to me. So, in this way, when we hear about this, then we begin with, oh, he wasn't just this cookie cutter devotee. He had material, and it's actually explained, he had material desires. And instead of going to the internet to fulfill your material desires. He went to Krishna. And that is what's being expounded over and over again in Krishna consciousness, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in all the treatises of the devotees, is go to Krishna for those things, for everything. And after all, Krishna is supporting everyone anyway. Even if we don't acknowledge that, he is still providing support for us through his nature. And this section of Srimad Bhagavatam in particular will be looking at how the nature itself, how the energies of the Lord and the material elements are still all being directed by Krishna. So that's just one example, Kardama. And then again, what just happened probably in the last chapter? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is born as your son, and he's there. And what do? See you later. I'm gone. You would think, oh, why wouldn't he just be there and serve him and ask for prema and ask for service and ask for knowledge? He's quite an extraordinary personality, this Kardama Muni. But he already, since, of course, there's some Leela involved here. Leela means pastime, some overextending influence of Krishna's desire within these actual occurrences. He had some other plans. He was there, of course, because Kardama had a purpose too. He had to fulfill the universe. So you could say, well, he didn't do a very good job. He only had 9 daughters. But from those 9 daughters, then the universe became filled. But then Devahuti, on the other hand, we look at her. She was like the daughter of the greatest king, Swayambhuva Manu at the time, in charge of so much universal activities. And, she then has been, given betrothed to a penniless person who likes to sit in yogic meditation all the time. And so, but of like disposition, so Krishna granted that, of like that she served her husband very faithfully. But she also had desires. I want a son. Because when you're gone, who will be there for me? Who will give me instructions? Who will because, and again, I don't know if it was the last chapter or a chapter before, they did. It was quite extraordinary. Sees Krishna, I want a wife. Then they live very austerely for many, many years. And then they enjoy for many, many more years in like enjoyment levels that we can't even comprehend, of living in an arrow city that had everything. And there's some description of what they had. Such opulence, such enjoyment, and going everywhere, because everybody, when they think, okay, when I'm successful, I want to travel, I want to see everything. So they saw everything. They went not only to the west or the east, but they went up. They went to all the different planetary systems, and saw all the heavenly things. But then again, these are struggles. These are things that we're dealing with. Sometimes yes, I only want prema, or I only want devotional service. But sometimes we want other things. And if we don't acknowledge that, then those are kind of hidden there, and they become seeds for another try at it. Perhaps later, if it's not completely resolved. And so devotional service itself is so powerful that it can eliminate those desires. But you have to acknowledge them. I think a lot of the self-help and cures for addictions is the first thing is to acknowledge that there is a problem. And so that's where we start this chapter. It's Devahuti acknowledging a problem. And so again, let's not just hear something that happened millennia ago and just let it be passive, but how can I apply this to those things that I may be struggling with? And how can I move forward? And so that's where oh, wonderful. Yeah, look at that. How would you like to live there?
This is their palace.
Okay, I didn't choose, I don't know which verse we'll chant yet, but let's just read the verses first, starting with text 1 through 11. Sri Shaunaka said, so Shaunaka is speaking, although he is unborn, and he's speaking to the sages Naimisharan, or he's inquiring. Although he is unborn, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took birth as Kapila Muni by his internal potency. He descended to disseminate transcendental knowledge for the benefit of the whole human race. So one of our persons said, yes, you would ask the Lord for knowledge. So the Lord descends to give knowledge. And then let's have some other readers. Yeah.
Shaunaka continued, there is no one who knows more than the Lord himself. No one is more worshipful or more mature a yogi than he. He is therefore the master of the Vedas, and to hear about him always is the actual pleasure of the senses.
Therefore, please precisely describe all the activities and pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is full of self-desire and who assumes all these activities by his internal potency.
So just a pause there. So this is again the conversation within a conversation within a conversation. And so just see that even a few narrators removed, or hearers removed in this case, Shaunaka is asking, please describe this. I just heard Karma had left. Devahuti was there, and Kapila was there. And Kapila is very well known, of course, as the expounder and the teacher of Shankya philosophy. We'll hear about that in the next whole book. So he's asking this anukirtaya, and Prabhupada says this is very significant. It means to follow the description. Follow the description. So what does that mean? He's asking not only to describe it. Again, I don't want only passive hearing. I don't want to just hear a story for story's sake. I want to hear something that is, it's going to go in. It's going to go into me. It's going to have an effect on me, have an effect on my consciousness. Continue. Do we have ping pong players?
Sri Sutta Goswami said, the most powerful sage Maitreya was a friend of Vyasadeva. Being encouraged and pleased by Vidura's inquiry about transcendental knowledge, Maitreya spoke as follows.
Maitreya said, when Karma left for the forest, Lord Kapila stayed on the strand of the Bindu Sarovara to please his mother, Devahuti.
When Kupala, who could show her the ultimate goal of the absolute truth, was sitting leisurely before her, Devahuti remembered the words Brahma had spoken to her, and she therefore began to question Kupala as follows.
Devahuti said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses, for because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance.
So this is our first ability. Here's an entry point. Here's the doors opening a little bit for us. Devahuti is expressing something. She's saying she's very sick by the disturbance caused by material senses. Now, if I were to ask you, are any of you maybe at all sick of disturbances caused by your material senses? Raise your hand. Wow. Hurry, whoa. Very glad. No, we're sick of it.
Sick of it all.
We're sick of it. So this is an opening. Okay, she is. So she becomes very relatable to us, even though we've heard about her. And it's like, well, I can't relate to Devahuti, living in water and emaciated and just serving her husband all the time. I mean, I can't relate to that at all. But I can relate to this. I can relate to this. This is an opening for us. And these next words of Devahuti are very powerful. So we listen very carefully. Who's next?
Your Lordship is my only means of getting out of the darkest region of ignorance, because you are my transcendental eye, which is by your mercy only I have attained after many, many births.
You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin and the Supreme Lord of all living entities. You have arisen to disseminate the rays of the sun in order to dissipate the darkness of the ignorance of the universe.
Be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feelings of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations.
Devahuti continued, I have taken shelter in your Lord's feet because you are the only person of whom to take shelter. You are the axe which can cut the tree of material existence. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you, who are the greatest of all transcendentalists, and I inquire from you as to the relationship between man and woman, and between spirit and matter.
Thank you. So actually, I've decided just now that we will chant together text 11, the one that was just read, and then we'll go back, because each of these statements by Devahuti are so powerful and so applicable. So we'll touch on that, but let's go ahead and chant this. Please pardon my Sanskrit, I'm not a scholar, so I'll try my best. Tam tvagataham sharanam sharanyam. Svabhritya samsara taro kutaram. Jignasayatam prakrite purushasya. Namami sadharma vidham varishtam. Please chant.
Tam tvagataham sharanam sharanyam. Svabhritya samsara taro kutaram. Jigyasayaham prakrite purushasya. Namami sadharma vidam varishtam.
Tam tvagataham sharanam sharanyam. Svabhritya samsara taro kutaram. Jigyasayaham prakrite purushasya. Namami sadharma vidam varishtam.
Tam tvagataham sharanam sharanyam. Svabhritya samsara taro kutaram. Jignasayaham prakrite purushasya. Namami sadharma vidam varishtam.
dharmamidam varishtam.
Tam tva gataham sharanam sharanyam.
Tam tva gataham sharanam sharanyam.
Svavritta samsara tarokutaram.
Svavritya samsara tarokutaram.
Jignasayaham prakrite purushasya.
Jignasayaham prakrite purushasya.
Namami sadharma vidam varishtam.
Namami sadharma vidam varishtam.
Okay, we're going to, because it's already late and I took up too much time on other things, I'm just going to read the translation again. Devahuti continued. I have taken shelter of your lotus feet. Sharanam Sharanyam. I've taken shelter of those feet because you are the only person of whom to take shelter. She's identified because she wants freedom from sickness of senses. She wants her eyes open. Om Gyanatamrandasya. She wants her eyes open. She wants to be dispelled. And there's only one person now in her life who can do that. She's taking shelter of them. You are the axe which can cut the tree of material existence. That's the tree of material existence. Of course, there's many descriptions of this tree. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's there, and in other places. That is also in the 5th canto and many other places. It's part of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It's used over and over again, the tree of material existence. It's rooted, the roots are deep, and the branches are expansive, and you get lost in the tree.
It's a banyan tree?
It can be a banyan tree, yes.
So it goes under, out.
Yeah. Who have seen a banyan tree? Who has seen a big banyan tree? Good. They're just, you don't know where they start, and you don't know where they end, and they keep going. So she's surrendered. She's surrendering to Krishna. She's surrendering to her son Kapila, who knows. So now, here's a request. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you, who are the greatest of all transcendentalists. And here's what I want to know. I inquire from you as to the relationship between man and woman and between spirit and matter. Now, if we were to look at this just on the English, we would be thinking, I want to know the difference between this side of the room and that side of the room. But that's not what she says. We'll get into that in a moment. Because you'll be very surprised to know that this side of the room, you're actually female. And this side of the room, you think you're male. Just remove. Think about it for a moment. Prabhupada will explain it in the purport. But just think about that. You are female, and you think you are male. Okay. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Sankhya philosophy, as is well known, deals with Prakriti and Purusha. So this is the key. Immediately you'll give away my little trick here. But deals with Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's where we normally end that. Or anyone who imitates the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the enjoyer. And Prakriti means nature. In this material world, material nature is being exploited by the Purushas, or the living entities. The intricacies in the material world of the relationship of the Prakriti and Purusha, male, female and male, enjoyed, enjoyer. This is called samsara, or material entanglement. Devahuti wanted to cut the tree of material entanglement, and she found the suitable weapon in Kapila Muni. I'm going to hold off there just for a moment. Om Agena Chimananda Shabyananda Shalakya Chakshavuna Tamina Tasma Shri Vema Shri Chaitanya Nopistam Stavitam Swayam Rupadananda Sadhadan Vanchakapatru Shakya Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavyo. So we probably won't have time to go through the whole purport, but he continues on looking at these two words, Prakriti and Purusha. And Prakriti has different ways to look at it, but basically Prakriti is, as he concludes, is that to be enjoyed by the Purusha or the enjoyer. So when I said you temporarily male-bodied persons are female, that means you are Prakriti. You are to be enjoyed ultimately by Krishna. And those in the female body, in this time and place, we are thinking, I want to enjoy, so we're thinking we're male. So everything is topsy-turvy. And so Devahuti is recognizing this. How do I get out of this cycle of always wanting to be the Purusha when I am clearly a Prakriti? I'm clearly to be enjoyed by Krishna. And this is the first real step. Because look at her, she's fully surrendering. You can clear my illusion. I am sick of this. I am sick of the disturbances of thinking I am a Purusha. I'm always thinking I'm a Purusha, that this thing will give me enjoyment, that thing will give me enjoyment, and another one of those things, and then a replacement of those things. And we're constantly thinking I can enjoy this, but we can't. We just don't have the ability, because this body that we're encaged in really has very limited ability to enjoy anything, actually. And you, as you get older, you'll very much realize this. And so she's wanting to get cut free of this understanding that I'm constantly in this. I'm constantly thinking I'm the enjoyer. And so when I ask, when we ask, well, what do you want? Yes, I want prema, I want this, I want that. Well, what is it we really want? Sometimes we are still being controlled by our senses that I actually want this thing. And we may need things. We may need things for comfort, for living peacefully. We may need these things. But acknowledge that. Acknowledge that it's not the ultimate goal of life, to just keep accumulating and making it better, making it softer, making it shinier, making it more fragrant, all these things. But yes, we may need it at this time, because look, Devahuti needed cardamom. Krishna standing before him. I want a wife. Devahuti, I want to enjoy. I want children. It's okay to say that, but understanding it, and that's what the whole Sankhya philosophy is, to help us, to help understand what is matter. And again, Prakriti Purusha has so many different levels. So male, female, matter, and spirit. And then there's the jiva, the marginal. So there's a lot of different views and a lot of times that the same term will be used, but in a slightly different manner. Prakriti will be material energy or material matter, but we are also Prakriti because we're to be enjoyed. And so it can be combined that all of this is for the Purusha's enjoyment, whether it's Prakriti, the Jiva's expansions of Krishna, or the nature. It's all for Krishna's enjoyment. Only when we separate and we think that we are the Purusha and we grab up as much as that little Prakriti elements, material matter, as much as we can to think, okay, now I can enjoy. Now I can enjoy. That's where the illusion, and then again and again we find failures in it. That it, even though I got it all, I mean, we just passed through this season of where you get things, right? And you get it, but then the dissatisfaction is there. We've all experienced it in some way. So she is wanting to, that Kapila, by his knowledge, by helping us understand the differences of matter and spirit, then we will act. We will begin to act in a different way. So again, these aren't things that like immediately we can just come to, but we should acknowledge and understand the differences so that we can apply them very consciously in our lives to help us use that same axe to cut it down. Because sometimes we'll see, people get so enthusiastic, they'll cut it down and they'll just like go completely, and then they're like, wait a minute, I'm not quite ready, but I'm going to show I can cut that down. And then, they get frustrated. There's frustration in that. So how to actually, navigate through that with our particular set of senses, because not every one of us are on the same location, same desires, so the same. Some of us may be sick of something, but some of us may still like some things. And so each of us has to take this, when we hear about these things, when we hear about the nature, Prakriti, and the Purusha, and the interactions, and how they mingle, commingle, and we learn about them, then we can think, oh, okay, I know now, if I go into the lobby of a movie theater, I'm probably going to go see a movie, so maybe I won't go into the lobby anymore. And then it's like, oh, wow, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Because we knew, once you get to a certain point, you're committed. You get committed. And so understanding the influences of the nature, of the material nature, that is like such a valuable tool for us. Although it is very thick philosophy that we'll be hearing from Kapila Muni over the next semester. They are actually, if you slow it down a little bit and try to find something in every class you hear this semester. What is it that I can take away from this class that I can actually use? Yeah, I may not know what the difference between a subatomic anu to I may not understand the time splitting from the atom. I may not understand that. But what can we understand? We have limited time, and I should use my time wisely. That's what we can. We may not be able to recite all these things, all the Sankhya philosophy, word for word, or even concept by concept. But what are those things in every class that you could take away, you can take and better your Krishna consciousness? Because ultimately, this is the glories of devotional service. The glories of devotional service is that once you are freed, once that material tree, that material existence tree is cut, then wow, what is there? Anandam Buddhi Bharnam. There is happiness, there is bliss in the devotional service itself. And there's so much, and Rupa Goswami says you can't even calculate a drop of happiness that we get from it. It's not even a drop within the whole ocean of Anandam Buddhi, of happiness, of great bliss from devotional service. So we do have a couple minutes. I'll end here. I know I left most of the purport unsaid, but any questions or comments? Yes, Matt. Bruce.
So I was at my family's house for Christmas, and I got to see both my nephews. And my brother was really happy for this Christmas because it was like he had money this time around, and so he got them all these toys. And I was happy to see them with these toys, but I was also sad because they weren't getting what they needed. And then they didn't really play with the toys that much because they were like playing Roblox. And I just thought this is all just a big waste. And it made me sad.
But the intent was, we have to find what that intent was. The father is wanting to make the children happy, right? That's clear, right? Your brother wanted to make them happy. And so he gave them something. And this is obvious, this is a loving exchange that devotees do, actually. To the loving exchange is to give gifts and to receive gifts. And so we don't want to always look quite harshly at that because how old are these children?
One is 10 and the other is 6.
Oh, let them have their toys.
I'm happy they have their toys, but
Yeah, but then what you can do is, as a good old uncle, is kind of
Whisper distance.
right. If it's his brother's children, he's the uncle. Yeah, he's old enough to be an uncle. So you just have fun with them, and then they'll see, oh, he does have a different hairdo than my father does, but I like him. He plays with us, and then that's a start. But yeah, it is sad because in this culture, this materialism starts very early. And I also remember having children younger, and I remember, getting gifts, and they actually have more fun with the box that the gift was in than the gift itself. And so, a lot of times we're just, but you can't like tell your brother, oh, you're just,
yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. No, but it is sad. It is, and that's the natural compassion. This is the compassion that the Vaishnava has. And this is what Bhakti Vinod says, that he is, when he's singing his kirtan songs and Gitavali, it's in this mood, he's seeing the suffering. Jeev Jagu, oh, you're suffering so much, just wake up. And so it's good that you have that. Because a lot of, if you don't have it, then wow, you're just, kind of giving into it. But, as you associate and you're able to continue association with your family, you'll rub off on them. And hey, when they get actually older and, hey, I want to see what Uncle Bruce is doing, maybe let's go visit him. And maybe you're on the side of the Yamuna. We were at the side of the Yamuna a few months ago, and wow, what was he doing there? What were you doing there? Yeah, you were chanting the Yamunastakam. It was such a wonderful thing, and then wow, they make it. The door is open. The door gets open for them because of your compassion, because you saw that just activity as a sad activity, because there was nothing real, I guess, permanent or eternal in that exchange. But there's so much to be given. And so find a way to do it where you're not weird them out. find a way to do it, not like a 5-year-old, here's a Srimad Bhagavatam, have this as a gift. But maybe you go to the pictures, some of those pictures are pretty cool, the adverse reactions to living entities, that's are fun. Does that help, I think? Yes, do we have time? Is it okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, when you were speaking about the cutting, for some reason, the mission that came out about this prison cell. It has metal bars in the window. And instead of cutting, I had a little file. And earlier in the morning, while everybody's still asleep for 2 hours, I'm taking this little file and I file away. And the file is my desire, and the prison bar is attachments. And the 4 walls is a birth, death, disease, and old age. So I'm filing away slowly. I might not be cutting.
Well, you should write a poem. You should write this. You should write this. It's a nice. Yeah, and the weight of Srimad Bhagavatam is the axe, and the axe can come and cut. But for our purposes, we may have to chip away at it. Our chanting Hare Krishna, our regular sadhana activities, these are little things. And sometimes we want it all. We want it all right now. And it won't happen. It's not going to happen immediately. But be determined. These are the keys of chanting good japa or doing devotional service. Be determined. Utsahan nistarad dharyat. Be determined. Continue with it. Be patient. Be enthusiastic. All of these things together, you say, well, enthusiastic and patient, what does that mean? You start and stop, you don't know how to use the clutch, it's like, you want to be enthusiastic, but patient. Because enthusiastic in the activity, but patient in what we think we deserve as a reward or as a gift back. So you can't deny what has just walked in the room. So we will end here.